Well, hi there. Let me ask you a question. Do you tend to put yourself last? Or do you feel some type of way when someone used the metaphor, you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you serve others? Well, listen, you're in the right place tonight because we are going to talk about how to put first things first as a multi passionate nurse. Listen, welcome to the break room. And this is your nurse self care safe space to escape from the day to day and take a break so that you can be refreshed and renewed and go back to the task that you have at hand. I am Deetra Dennis, and I am the self-care coach for nurses, and I empower my sisters to prioritize the care of their MVP, their most valuable patient, which is themselves, so that they can show up as the best version of themselves and impact the well-being of those assigned to their care as well as those connected to them. So listen, again, tonight we're talking about but first things first as a multi-passionate nurse. So just as a reminder, and welcome to each of you that are tuning in tonight. I would love to see in the chat where you are tuning in from. And we are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So again, welcome and thank you for coming, and thank you for coming back, those who have been with me each week. So before we get into everything, I want to invite you to like the video here, even though we're on live stream, like it, subscribe if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who you feel could benefit from the things that we talk about over here. And again, this is our dialogue. This is our time in the break room. So I would love to have interaction with you, by you typing in the chat. So again, first things first. So before we even dive into it, first things first, meaning putting one thing that is needed over others, or prioritizing what is needed over others. And, again, going back to that analogy about on the airplane of putting the oxygen mask on you first before you can help others. And this is so true. So have you ever asked the question, like, why do they have that as a part of the safety instructions when you're on flight? Well, what happens is, now, again, I would love to see your comments in the chat. So again, what happens is, when you're in the airplane, it's pressurized air, but in the event of an emergency, the pressure is gone. So it's, no longer any pressure there. So it's important that you put that mask on first, because as that pressure goes, the oxygen level drops drastically. And in the hospital, when you've had a patient that had a DSAT, meaning their oxygen level dropped very low, it can be a critical state, meaning a person can get weak, they can get disoriented, and just all of the things that can happen as a result of having low oxygen levels. And so if you skip the part of not putting the oxygen on yourself first and try to put it on someone else first, then what happens is again, the oxygen level is dropping quickly, and then you could possibly pass out as a result of not having your oxygen mask on first. And I know you might be saying, now, what does this have to do with you as a multi-passionate nurse? Well, again, I'm glad you asked. You're asking wonderful questions tonight. So listen, what happens? How does that relate to a multi-passionate nurse? So the metaphor of putting the mask on first is really self-care. And it's so important that you do that. But if you don't put that mask on first, what ends up happening is you're stressed. And the prolonged stress leads to burnout, fatigue. You can have anxiety, you can have health problems, and many other things. We talked about this last week live in the break room when we talked about is saying yes, the best decision for a multi-passionate nurse. So, feel free to go over to that video to watch that as well, because again, when you are saying yes to others and saying no to yourself, this is what happens. It's again, the analogy or the metaphor, just like putting that oxygen mask on first. And so it is so important. Self-care is so important as a nurse. It is a part of the American Nurses Association Code of Ethics. Did you know that? So I'm going to read to you what the code of ethics say. And I know this is a refresher just to share with you, but this is so important. This is why first things first are important. And the first thing first is the MVP, you, the most valuable patient that you have. So listen to what it says here. And it says that nurses must take care of themselves before taking care of others. And again, this is in the American Nurses Association Code of Ethics, in its provision 5.1. And it goes on to say, the nurse owes the same duties to self as to others. Now, to me, I'm going to stick a pin right there. This sounds like Matthew 22:39 when it says, love your neighbor as yourself. I don't know. Does that sound like that to you? So I'm going to start back over and read it straight through. The nurse owes the same duties to self as to others, including the responsibility to promote health and safety, preserve wholeness of character and integrity, and maintain competence and continue personal and professional growth. Listen, I'm just sharing this with you as a sister. I have been at a point where I would put everything and everyone else first, and I had the stress, I had the burnout, had health problems. But when I chose and decided to put me first, it changed my life. So I just want to share with you some things that how you can put first things first, meaning you put you first. So I'm not only going to name a few, and I would love to hear what are some things that you may do to put yourself first. So number one, getting enough rest. Aim to at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep, whichever works best for you, however your body responds in between the 7 to 8 hours a night. That's an opportunity for your body to be refreshed and renewed, rejuvenated for the next day. Number two is moving your body regularly. We know all the benefits of exercise and moving our body. It reduces the stress, it releases the good feeling hormones, all of those things. And it helps keep everything else moving along without getting graphic. It does that for you as well. Number three, fueling your body with the proper nutrients in order for you, again, to be energized. And those things are your fruit, vegetables, whole grains, and beans. All of those things energize you and help you, again, to show up as the best version of yourself. And lastly, the one I have two more, I'm sorry. Spending time every day with a renewal activity, such as prayer, meditation, journaling, gratitude, listening to music, all of those things that I do. And I, again, would love to hear what renewal activities do you engage in on a daily basis. And then again, last, cutting down the stress with laughter. And, in Proverbs 17:22, it talks about a merry heart doeth good like medicine. So all of those things are ways you can put first things first. Again, I would love to see in the chat, what things do you do to put first things first, meaning you putting you first. So listen, that's all I have. Are there any questions or any comments from the things shared? And if you're watching this as a replay, I still want to hear from you. What are some things that you do to put first things first? And if you're not putting first things first, what are some things you would like to implement to put first things first, meaning putting you first? You are the MVP. So go ahead and begin to put first things first. So I don't see any comments right now. And I'll, end up here. And again, encouraging you and inviting you to like this video and to share it with others and comment. Again, I would love to hear what's on your mind as we talked about, from the conversation on today. And, I like to end with a quote. So the quote for today is, "It is not selfish to put yourself first. Loving yourself first is the best way to spread love, and it makes everything and everyone around you better." So again, thank you so much for tuning in. Even if you're watching a replay, thank you for making the decision to come over here and watch me live or watching a replay. I really appreciate it. So until next Monday at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern, Have a great day and a great week. And I know the holiday is coming up, so enjoy your family. And again, spend some time in gratitude as we're celebrating Thanksgiving. So have a wonderful evening.